כל השונה הלכות בכל יום. בעזרת השם, נסיעה טובה בעזרת השם. So we have the two mitzvot deoraita today. It's going to be is the 5th of the Chodesh of Mar Cheshvan, Sunday, Tavshin Pei Gimel. Parashat Lech Lecha. The first mitzvah of the day is mitzvah number 59. Those are the mitzvot that bring Shefa to this world. Mitzvah number 59 is going to talk about a person who is a free keeper of a watch, a security guard. I'm sorry, this is talking about the person who is actually being paid to be a security guard. And mitzvah number 60 is going to be a person who borrows items. What are his responsibilities? Well, let's start. 59. Today, Shiur is sponsored by Nishmat Yecheskel Nathaniel ben Harab Avishai Alevi Shlita. Refuah Shlema Lekol Am Yisrael V'Chalam Lechaya Bat Leah. Anybody wants to sponsor, you know how to reach out. Let's go. Adon Bedin Noseh Sachar VeHaSocher. The Bedin has an obligation to go out and to figure out what are the responsibilities and what has transpired if a person who was a security guard, he was paid to watch an item, or a person who actually rents an item, like leasing a car, what are his responsibilities? Pirush Noseh Sachar Shomer Pigadon B'Sachar Shenotnin Lo. What does that mean that the person who gets a salary? This is talking about a person who is being paid to watch a particular item. Ala Shmira, the Socher who Kimashmao. And what is socher? What is renter? Like we understand, shesachar behema mechavero lirchov o laasot b'melacha. In olden days, it was prevalent that we had animals, so people used to rent animals, like a horse or a donkey, or an ox would have been rented to plow the fields. But today's day and age, it's very easy. People borrow a rent car, like somebody put in our chat yesterday in the Chesed chat. The soldier, IDF soldier, is coming for 2 months from Israel. For whatever the purposes, he's here in Florida, so he's looking to lease a car for this 2 months at a cheap price. So anyway, but you see that there is such a thing. Or a person rents, let's say, a dish. He wants to use a dish that he has guests coming, like Baruch Hashem. By us, we have some people borrow big decks. He has making whatever it is, a party. So what about also a person who has been entrusted with an item and he's being paid to watch this item, like a very common thing, right? Today, I mean, it's not so common people pay for it, but the people that usually ask you to watch things, like as we said last week, you're standing in the supermarket, somebody says, "Here, please watch my bag. I'm going to, go quickly go do, my shopping." Well, very important. This is going to discuss, in olden days when I was growing up. Today I don't see that much. You used to walk into a store. There used to be in the front. They would have a section. You give your bags. You walk in with your bags. They would have a bag section. They would give you a key, like ID, right? I don't see that anymore. But that was what the person who's watching your item. What is his responsibility towards you? I would say that he's a socher, not socher. He is actually a paid watchman. He is being paid by the owner to sit over there and watch your items, and the choira, he would be responsible for anything happens. As we see that the obligation of the Beit Din to judge these cases in reference to if there is obviously something happens. Like a scenario I just gave you. You walk into the store, and usually in the olden days they had it in the front of the store, right? One of the main reasons was because they don't want you to steal anything.
If you're going to do it today, nobody come to the store. If you're going to do it today, nobody going to come.
So Harav Moshe HaKohen over here tells us the truth. He reveals that if you walk into the store, they have scanners, they have video cameras. I guess when I was growing up, they didn't have all these things, right? But let's say you have that it was usually in front of the store. And somebody just sent me a video. Police was chasing a guy, and the guy was trying to run away from the police. He ran right into the store, backwards. As he was trying, that's New York City, move out of New York City. There's no reason to be living in Sodom Amorah. This is Sodom Amorah, no laws. The police, no guns out. The guy ran over a pregnant lady. Law is if a guy is using a car going on a sidewalk, you must shoot him to death because he's there to kill people. And the people don't understand that the police are so afraid to take out their guns. The guy is not shooting me. Yeah, this is called Sodom Amorah. Get away from New York. So what happened? This guy ran into the store. So in the olden days, if you have in front of the store, that's where all the items are. Who is responsible for this to pay for all this property that you walked in? Obviously, you just did shopping. You did shopping, $100, $200, whatever it is, and you're giving it over to this guys, and this guy in New York City with a backstride is a store, ruins all your property. Who's responsible for it? Okay, it's no. Okay, we'll see. The police will not be responsible for anything. Mitzvah. So it says over there in Shmot Chav Bet, in the chapter 22nd, pasuk Ted. Ki ten ish el re'eu chamor or shor or seh v'chol behema lishmor. It says over there, discusses this instance where somebody was entrusting. In olden days, obviously, it was more common. You had shepherds. They were entrusted and they were being paid. Whatever it was it every goat that gives birth, you'll keep one, or every shepherd is born, you'll keep one. Whatever, like if you know in the Torah, like Abraham, like Yaakov Avinu, Shlomo, בוא שב פה בצד. יש לך פה מקום יפה. שורש הדינים ידוע, so everybody knows why we have this laws, כגון מה שאמרו זיכרונם לברכה, שנשבעים על האונסין הגדולים. So we have over there, there's an obligation that a shomer, if he was robbed, right? Somebody stole from him. Yes, you have to swear over there. משלם הגניבה והעבידה לפי שיש בזה קצת פשיעה וקצת אונס. We have over there where a person was stolen from him, not with a robbery with a gun. We're talking about privately. Somebody came in. We saw that burglarized, right? Somebody came in and took all the stuff in the middle of the night. He is going to be l'chora responsible because he was pasheya. He was paid for that not to happen, and because somebody burglarized him at night, if he was paid for it, it's his responsibility. Okay? Okay, because he was being paid for watching, and now that he was not careful, the item, therefore he has to pay for it. He has to compensate the owner. Well, we know that except for the person, we learn in Mitzvah 58, that a person who's watching for free without any pay, he is not patur, he's only patur for everything, but only thing that he's going to be paying for if he was literally really negligent. Not shemesh. We're not talking about shemesh. We're talking about shomer chinam if he was negligent. But over here, even if he shomer chinam only if he's negligent. But shomer sachar, a person who gets paid to watch, there's no such thing as what's his name? I didn't know you didn't pay for it, or I was burglarized. You are responsible. You have to properly protect the item. בדיני שכירות פועלים ושכירות בהמה או בתים. Okay, the Torah now is going to go into differences. Now, what about socher? What is going on with socher? The Torah tells us actually that a socher, when he's taking an item, why is he paying for the item? Because there's a value for the item, right? So now that he is actually he already declared that this item is valued for him. So obviously, if a person who is renting something, he is 100% responsible for keeping safety of this item. There is no such a thing, right? So let's say a person rented a vehicle. He rented a vehicle and he left it in the street. He rented a vehicle. He left it in the street. If it's a common thing, unless it says in the contract that you cannot leave this car parked in the street. You must park the car in a driveway. So the chora in this instance, when a guy is renting a vehicle and it says specifically in his contract that he must keep it in the driveway, now he kept it in the street and a garbage truck came by and knocked it off. Okay, that's a good scenario. Garbage truck, there will be payment, insurance, whatever it is. The chora, he will compensate the original owner for the vehicle. But let's say it was not a garbage truck. Let's say it was something, a scaffold fell off. You know, they have the scaffold, they have scaffolding. In New York is very common, unfortunately. We have in the middle, a scaffold comes off, crashes the car. Today we have such a thing called insurance, whatever it is, who's going to be responsible. But in the instance where there is nobody to claim, let's say hit and run. Somebody hit the car. I had this twice already to my cars. And Baruch Hashem, and it was both in the cases where I was trying to, I don't know, it was a lease car or whatever it was, the Etzarah was very strong. The guys would swipe my car. Once I came out, the whole side of my car was like somebody took a metal piece and not scratched, took off all the doors, the piece of like a line. Mamish. It was a very, very unfortunate scene, but such a thing happens. So if he's a zocher, he has that condition to park in the driveway, and he parked it outside. If that happened, 100% he's responsible to pay for the item to the original owner. Again, so socher, he is renting something, so since he says there's a value to the item, he is responsible for all the damages that happens to the item. Over aleh velo dan. So now we understand this is the tomorrow. B'ezrat Hashem, the mitzvah 61 will be the completion of all this halachot that we just discussed that for the past week. Is discussing in reference to Beit Din, obligations of Beit Din and Dayanim to judge. So the rabbi says over here, if the Dayanim refuse to judge the cases that they understand how to resolve, okay. However, they're gonna transgress a mitzvah aseh. And we said that mitzvah a person could be learning all his life. If he took on himself the title of Dayanut, he is not allowed to say, "I'm not judging the case." Has v'shalom, he's over al aseh if he does it. ואף על פי שנצטווינו דרך כלל לדון בדין טוען ומטעון, רפדה התורה ציווי שאומרים, בפרט לפי שהן עניינים רגילים בשובי בני אדם. So again, a very important, the rabbi says here, a very important point that we have to remember, all the cases in reference to judgment is for one main reason. Obviously, to make a peace between each other, but the main reason is to settle the world and in order to settle the community. A community must have dayanim. Baruch Hashem, in many communities, in this community we have a Rav, a Talmid Chacham. If there is a dispute between two people, go to Talmid Chacham, Baruch Hashem, and that's where you resolve your issues. Rabbis are here, Talmidei Chachamim marbim, Shalom ba'olam. That's the whole purpose of the Chachamim. Mitzvah Samech, mitzvah number 60. Mitzvah Beit Din ladun bedin hasho'el. What happens if a person borrows something? What happens in that instance? You don't have to stay if you want to leave. This is not like we'll put your chain to the seat and stay. If you have to go, you have to go. Baruch Hashem. It's a free country still free country. Let you know when it's not. Mitzvah 60. Okay, ladun bedin hashoel. So the Beit Din is also obligated to find out when a person borrows something. Lomar Adam shesha'al mechavero shum chafetz o behema. So again, the same concept. A person borrowed an item from his friend, whatever purpose he needed, or an animal. Now, in reference to a person who borrows, borrower is chayav, is going to be obligated, as the rabbi will teach us, for everything that happens to the item. You borrowed something. You borrowed a car. Many stories are talking about it. Just quickly before we go there. Mitzvah aseh deoraita. Mitzvah, and it's written down. כתוב בפרשה זו, שמות, the 22nd chapter, pasuk Yud Gimel, 13 pasuk, וכי ישאל איש מעם רעהו. And it says over there clearly, a person asks for his friend. Now, quickly, I just want to point out over here, you borrowed, this is very common, you borrow a vehicle today. You borrow a vehicle, whatever you will. The vehicle broke on the way, you are obligated to responsible to return an operating vehicle. If you drove off the lot, people don't understand that. If you drove off the lot and the vehicle was one operational, the key turned without a problem, and you're just driving, and it happened to be your mazal, the rotors went, the motor went, whatever it is, you are 1,000% responsible to repair the vehicle, and you can't say.
Even was an honest mamash?
Was it honest? Somebody hit you from the car, from the back? That's a different story. You have insurance.
No, I took the car, like I said.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is life, shelf of life of the
That's right. So you're going to say, well, I took it and it's his fault.
And I drive a mile.
Good. Very good.
You're responsible.
Very good. So now, halacha is very simple. This is very common. Let's say, no, that's the first rule. Don't borrow. Second rule, you have to know the halacha, the halacha is like this. You took a vehicle that's more operational, you have to return an operational vehicle. So very common is, let's not go to motor for a second, $1,500, $1,800 job. We're talking about a vehicle that you have tires. Most of the people have that. They borrow a tire and the tire is ripped.
I'm talking about the motor, not about the tire.
Not say after a tire. It's very common. So now you're replacing the tire. The question is, do you have to return exactly the same tire?
Or new
Or
one.
you could return a new one?
No, it's the same one. With
Okay.
a patch. No,
What?
wait. If it's a new one, you cannot put it like a patch.
No, so the question is like this.
The way it works.
No, if you put if it's a new one, the best thing is the patch. Patch is like new. It's not a problem.
Yeah, patch is new.
The problem, the question comes.
The plug is a problem.
No, I tell you the question is. No, the plug is the patch. But I'm saying the question with the vehicle is the tires is that many times you borrow the tires, the rubber is worn off, right? Or sometimes it's not worn off. So when you're buying a new one or the used one is beautiful. The new one is not. So the question is, The question is, if you change a tire, right? Now the tire was at 70%, and let's say you replace it with 60%. You have a problem with gezel already.
Yeah.
60% efficiency. That's what I'm trying to talk about. Now the question is, do you replace it with the best? Yes, the halacha is you replace it with a new tire. Why with a new tire? First of all, when you replace it with a new tire, you don't have that question is how much deficiency.
Sure not gonna be gezel.
There's no gezel 100%. Now the question now arises from the other side. What about repeat?
Repeat.
You borrow you borrow the tire that has 60% efficiency. Now halacha says you have to replace 100% efficiency. This way to go out from all the sfikot. What do? Whereas the repeat, halacha is there is no repeat when you chayav to return an item. It's very important in the Kudah to point out. There is no halacha of interest if you have to return it. The Torah tells you, you borrow the vehicle, the tire is blown up, you buy a new tire to replace the tire.
It's not the same case like if you borrow eggs, no? Middle-sized eggs.
No.
not
X
the same
is
case.
not. No.
Because
there you borrow
it's
food.
an item against other.
Yeah.
Like
No, over
it's a
here you
service
have.
they give you.
Over here you have an obligation. In a second, you have an obligation because the Torah tells you.
Because happened
Since
the
you are a
broke-
borrower, you have to return an item that you borrowed. There's no more possibility to return, and you don't know exactly what it is. You didn't before you. That's why maybe it's kedai when you borrow. Like Moshe says, don't borrow at all. It's kedai to borrow when you borrow something.
Moshe, I need your car for today, Moshe. Pick up. I need your pickup for today.
So let's say like this. The problem is maybe it's kedai before you borrow an item, you bring a lemon inspector. What do you want to ask?
I want to ask you, if you buy something from Home Depot, like a drill, you use it and you return it back. Mutar or lo?
Now, very beautiful question.
This is a
Unfortunately,
rental.
common.
Rental is different.
Not rental. You didn't say you have to pay attention. Rabbi Aaron, you have to pay attention what he says before you interject. It's a beautiful question.
Oh,
It's a
he
very
said if-
uncommon.
If
Unfortunately,
you buy and
when I
return
say
it, Chas v'shalom, go.
when I say uncommon, remember that. Remember the word uncommon. Mivin. People they go upstate. In New York for uncommon. It's not true. Right.
Golf.
They buy whatever they buy from Walmart, right? Air conditioning, smell conditioning, and then what they do after the summer? Uncommon. Remember that. Sorry, we don't need it.
אסור לגמרי.
Sur legamre.
Gezel
Gneva, not even gezel. Besides it, it's isur doraito to steal.
Yes.
It is mamish chamur meod. The store allows it. The store allows it. It's not allowed at all.
I heard the
At all. My wife, we bought. We rented a home in North Miami Beach. The landlord, we thought we were getting a good price. We got a potato, and then there was no sukkah. We had to order beams just to hold the schach. I ordered beams, 14 beams, right? Beautiful. It's treated, 2x4 treated wood beam, right? Everything that holds up. My wife constantly, the landlord is refusing to pay, but to compensate us. Okay, what are we going to do? I can't take it anyway. What am I going to do with the wood? All right, and so let's take it back to Home Depot. Has v'shalom.
1 second, but
You used it?
1 second. Nothing happened to the item. The item
Yes.
is-
Nothing happened.
But you use it. You use it.
100% nothing happened. I just told
I
you.
take a 2x4,
Shema,
put it in my scarf,
Shema,
then I
Shema,
return back.
Shema. It's beautiful,
Like
beautiful,
you rented.
beautiful. You said
1 second, you can return
Asur.
the item.
beautiful what you're saying,
Yeah.
and that's why it's worse than what he says.
Yeah.
His case is worse.
Yeah.
My case is much more common and much easier, and still it's asur.
Still is asur because
You
because
used it. You did
use
not
it.
buy it. Home Depot
You know, when
did
you
not.
finish it, you're gonna return it.
That's right. As for Shalom. Home Depot. If you go to Home Depot right now, this is how you check. You go to Home Depot and you ask, "Excuse me, manager, I want to buy this item from you on one condition. What is the condition?
I'm gonna
After
return.
I use it, 100% item, there will be no damages. I will return you the item. Will you sell it to me on that condition? You know the answer. Okay?
Yes.
Do me a favor, Chacham.
not.
The manager is not the owner. You're the owner, and you're the owner. Let's say you tell me you find a crazy manager. He's not the owner. Let's say you the owner. Your business.
Rabbi,
Will you sell it on that condition?
I heard.
So, Khalas, what's the question?
I heard that the manager have a power
One
to
second,
say
one
yes
second.
or not.
אתה משתמש כמו you rent.
Excuse me, Chacham.
Rent something.
Rabbi Shlomo, just one second. Chacham wants to ask a question. What are you saying, Tal?
Bed Bath and Beyond right? They had a policy. I think they had a policy. I don't think they have it anymore because they finally saw it got too expensive. They had a policy. You bought a espresso machine. 10 years later, you bring back the espresso machine. No problem. We'll give you a new one. They almost had. They knew. They had to know people were doing this. They were buying stuff. The second, I know people that would take pots, cooked, scratched, everything. They go back to Bed Bath & Beyond, give them their pots back, and say, I want new pots. They give them new pots.
No, this is warranty. If the item is bad, if the item has some, it's like a warranty for the item.
Guarantee, it's not
Now, Rabbi Aaron, what was your question?
No, you
Sorry.
say the guy, you say the manager is not the owner.
That's right.
As I heard,
So you
but
you yourself.
the manager have such power to take decision in the company. The employee
True.
not, but the manager yes.
100%. You're 100% agree. I agree that. I was standing in line Erev Shabbat. I was very thirsty. So I was standing with all my goods. And the cashier there, I said, you know what, I want to drink. Can I buy the drink this now before I pay you? She said yes. Lechoira, for me start drinking without asking would be, so there is some leeway for managers.
You have to know the policy of the store.
Yeah. That's why you're supposed to ask. Everything has to be asked. However, in this instance, you have to put yourself in the shoes. As the owner of a business, would you allow this? Would you want items to be moving in and out like that? No. And even like Ratal is saying right now, if you have such a policy, but again, over there they're doing it one condition, because like Aaron is saying that maybe something's wrong with the item.
Yes.
But to go lechatchila, to do it and to have this in mind, I'm going to buy an item, and then because it costs money, I'm going to return the item. Has v'shalom.
Rabbi,
They go to the party to a nice food.
yeah, chas v'shalom.
They give
Rabbi,
a rent.
I don't. Now, so one second. Rabbi Tal is coming back and say, wait a minute. When they did these policies, they instituted these policies. They made items that are a little bit more expensive because knowing that this is going to be returned. So you're going to say, wait, okay. So why should I pay extra? Good, very good question. However, if it's an item that everywhere that is sold for $10 and they're charging you less than a sixth of an increase, we know the halakha, it's normal. But if let's say it's an item that everybody sells for $7 and now Bed and Beyond they decided to charge $15, then maybe you play around with that policy with them. Again, not that you're buying it intentionally, but again, still you're going to say no. But if I know when Ben and Beyond, even though when they charge you $15, they're betting that you're going to forget about it and you're not going to care.
Jewish?
But over here,
From the beginning when I buy, I do
but over there still, it's all about you. People don't forget about one thing. One of the most important aspects is all about you. I don't care about the company. What makes me better? Everything we do in this world, what you're supposed to do everything to make you perfect. And if your already intentions are that I'm going to be playing around with the stores, I'm going to take it back. So you're not striving to be a perfect person. You're just a faker with a kippah on your head.
We are Jewish.
You're a faker, not Jewish. You're a faker with a kippah on your head, saying I'm perfect. Why are you wearing a kippah? You're saying I believe in Hashem. You're saying that I know Hashem knows everything. You're saying that Hashem knows Kalayot Balev. He knows all my intentions. And yet you're a faker showing to the whole world that it's okay, I'm going to take in return. Chas v'shalom, haras milaskir. A Jew has to become, always striving to become a perfect person.
This
Achar haba,
Excuse me,
shavuot tov.
if I